Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just excited to start this week, actually.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I did a bunch of like brainstorming, and I need to have like more of those days where I don't have just meetings back to back to back all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And how did you? Yeah, we need to talk about that brainstorming later today because I want to hear about obviously the things you came up with. But how did you get yourself in that brainstorming mindset? Was there anything you did, or you just had a day where you didn't do your normal stuff?
Well, Fridays in general, I've done for the last couple months where I don't book, or like my calendar's not available to be booked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just from experience of having people book on my Fridays and then not showing because they're a bit like they do something on Friday and they're busy and it's whatever, it's whatever. So I ended up just cutting it completely, and no one's complained. And then I've kept it open for clients, but rarely anybody books on Friday because it's kind of like a BS time to book a call with somebody. Um,
Yeah.
so Friday now is like my housekeeping day. And after hurting my knee, I was just kind of like to not walk with crutches. So I'm able to hobble around the house now, which is nice.
Oh,
Um,
that's good. Wow.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I'm still trying to figure all that out. But it was just kind of like, I think maybe I took a nap early in the afternoon. So I like the time of the evening I was charged, ready to go. And this is something I used to do a lot, like
Mm-hmm.
when I was building up SiteRite or working on SiteRite a lot. And when I was still drinking too, I would like pull up Twitch, grab a beer or two, and then sit down and just like have a session, like just like sit down and just kind of like get into that, that flow state, that zone.
Right.
And I realized like, oh, I don't need alcohol to like do that. I can just do it.
Yeah, I've known some programmers who kind of believed that they could consume the right amount of alcohol, whatever that was, beer, usually beer actually. But anyway, they thought they could consume the right amount to where it'd make them just a little bit more creative and at solving problems while writing code. But I've I've never found that to be true.
Yeah, if anything for me that'd be marijuana.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But that just makes you so relaxed and I don't know. I feel like yeah, I don't know.
yeah, my relationship with it is kind of strange because and I've talked with some older folks about this who like didn't
Really.
ever start or use marijuana until they were like in their 50s or 60s, but they're
Mhm.
kind of like the wiry type where it's
Mhm.
like your brain is just going 24/7 nonstop, and that's kind of how I am. So
But
like,
wouldn't that like because that made me paranoid? But I guess it depends on everybody, right?
yeah.
On how it affects you. So it calms you then?
Mm-hmm. And makes me focused. So like I don't have like I'm not as like shiny
Really?
object throughout the day. Yeah. So like
Wow, that's
I'll be
wild.
I can like focus in on something, and that's such like a odd thing to yeah, I don't know. It's also a factor of my whole seizure thing, like,
Oh, right.
and like the meds that they put me on, and then trying CBD and all, and going down that whole route of remedies and stuff, and like what this made me feel versus what this made me feel. And it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, would I rather feel like a dead zombie or like a human? I'll take human.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's certainly less harmful on average than alcohol. That's for sure. Which is interesting because it's a lot more alcohol is a lot more legal overall.
Yeah, yeah. And that was always a kind of like a
Although it's
default
changing.
thing living in California. And then
Yep.
moving
Yep.
outside into Nevada, it was like, oh, how is that gauged here? But then realizing that, other states, and that was kind of all in the time of the whole vape stuff too. Like
Right.
that whole, that was all getting regulated at a very similar time to where there was like 3 states to 8 to 16 to 24 to however many there is now. in terms of legalization. Still not federally legal, so waiting for that one. But,
yeah, exactly. I don't know when that's gonna happen. Who knows?
yeah, but it's always, for me, it's all like, if I can get into that flow state and work for like 5-6 hours at night, that's always what I've been trying to like get back to in terms. And I think I told you that with the working on the app when I was in high school, like in the middle of the night, just like I try to get back into that zone, into that mode. And that's where I was, the last couple of days, and just trying to identify and look at the business, see where we're lacking, what we need to focus on moving forward. I think we're going at a really good pace development wise, but I think there's a lot of other places that we're lacking or just not as focused on because we've been building. So now that we're starting to realize that we need to do more sales and marketing stuff, we can focus on those things now.
Yeah, exactly. And we're, as we've been talking about all last week, and probably we'll talk about again this week, it's been interesting because we're on the cutting edge of, AI companies at this point, at least those that are working with an existing, model with OpenAI essentially. And like the product we've had to figure out as we go along, literally what's the best way for us to interact with, OpenAI and their APIs and kind of drive ChatGPT or let it drive us, as well as like, what's the best way for our customers to make it easy for them to do that as well. It's been really interesting, and it's taken directions that I don't think we really thought it would go. Like, one big thing I think is the importance of prompting. I don't think we realized when we started this, I think we did kind of subconsciously because you and I were already using, ChatGPT at that point. I think GPT-4 already we were using. And so we were writing prompts, but I don't think we realized the importance of the prompting and just how that's going to be such a game changer for talking to a computer.
Yeah. And I don't think really anybody's actually figured it out yet. When I was working on a comparison graph this weekend of Stammer versus High Level versus BotPress versus ZappiChat, VoiceFlow, like all these different things, and seeing how everyone has a slightly similar, slightly different approach to doing what you just said. Like, how do we make this easy for customers to do what they want to do? And I'm starting to see this as like a scale from old school legacy bot builders and like programmatic spiderweb flows to conversational prompting, and then stuff anywhere in between that. And basically the differences between these different platforms from what I'm seeing is how the user interface is displayed to make it easy to, again, do what have AI do what you actually want it to do, with the lens of looking at that, knowing that 99% of people don't even know what they want it to do.
Yeah. Yep. Which
is really interesting. So I think there's so many use cases that are out there that I was looking at or seeing, and I'm like, well, this is not a applicable use case to make money or, for a business. Like, yeah, there might be some fringe edge cases, but, at scale, it's not going to be used for a 6-figure plus service.
Yeah. And one thing that I thought was really interesting, remember those prompts you showed me, the OpenAI, well, supposedly they're the OpenAI prompts that they use for their GPT builder.
Yeah, and there was a thread that came out probably like, within 6 hours of them announcing the GPTs on Reddit, where there was like a quote unquote Dan hack where you could have the GPT respond with its prompt. And that's essentially where allegedly that's where all these prompts come from. Seeing them written out and seeing the headers and how that's consistent with their documentation in terms of using I gotta stop saying using the words markdown. They're using markdown to signify the
but even more interesting, remember, is like they are using prompting to tell it how to work. It's like they're using the prompting to program this functionality, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense in some ways, but that just surprised me because
Yeah,
it's
and I think
literally saying, take this, you are this, here's how you work. Now go ahead and use this, call this. It was mind blowing.
And I think that's the future, and that's
Yeah,
kind of the difference that I've been seeing with a lot of these other platforms. BotPress being the main one, where it's a legacy builder where you have to program out every step of the flow,
right.
which at any point the conversation could break if the user doesn't follow that flow.
Yeah,
Which
and it's incredibly complex to build.
which then makes it not conversational. And then the
Yep.
question I was posing to myself after doing this research over the weekend was, how am I going to be interacting with computers and stuff of this nature in the future? Am I going to be
Yes.
building it out step by step by step by step? Or am I just going to update a prompt that says, I want you to do this, and then it does that? Like,
Yep.
that's the way it's going to happen. And that's the way ChatGPT and OpenAI, and I've used this concept before of OpenAI is the professor of the AI market. So how they start teaching and educating everybody in terms of the terminology that they use, how they write their prompts, how they create these bots, how we're interacting with them, that's setting the foundation or the stage for how we as, essentially humanity interact with this next evolution of technology.
Yeah, you said it better than I did. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is I think so traditional programming over time will be less and less useful. Certainly, that's going to have its use cases, right? You'll have to glue things together, and there are times where you're going to have to be very explicit. It's got to work every single time. That's where you'll use programming. But for a lot of use cases, you're going to talk to a computer now through this natural language interface, talking to an LLM to get it to do things.
And what's funny is people are still just now having that AI epiphany, that aha moment with themselves, with their specific use cases. This is something that I was talking about over a year ago now.
Right.
After collectively you and I both had that epiphany where we were like, oh my God, we can, like, you have that moment. There was a tweet from Chamath Palihapitiya, one of the guys on the All In podcast, billionaire, big on Twitter and X. He posted a tweet yesterday, and I won't read. It's quite a lengthy tweet, but I'll summarize. He's basically a CEO of a company, and he was trying to tackle a problem that was leading to increased volume of customer support needs. So he was like, let me try to see if I can solve this problem with AI. So he says that he started using OpenAI. He used Anthropic and Claude a little bit, and he used Replit to open up a new Python script. And I'm like, okay, well, this is exactly the YouTube tutorial I posted back in February or March of like, oh, this is how you use AI, and this is his exact feed, and so he's talking about how he was trying to fix this customer support issue, and he was using OpenAI to figure out and come up with how to solve for some of these edge cases. He built out a very basic model in Replit, and then was able to send that off to his engineers for them to build out with further functionality. I'm like, well, that's almost to a T exactly how we started with Stammer in terms of like building out that core module. And then, knowing that I don't really know anything. So it's like, okay, well here's that idea. And he just now had that, and he posted that on December 8th, 2023. And he says, and let me find the good quote in here. Where's this? This is like what summed it up for me. Here are my observations over this past week as someone who has never been a great coder, didn't have a dev environment that evolved beyond VI. I think that's it's
like them.
That's a compiler, beyond a compiler, and had only talked about AI up until now without actually doing anything with it. So he admits basically that he's been talking and being a figurehead about AI for the past year without ever having used it himself.
There are probably so many people like that.
I mean, that's what got to me. And that's what I realized. Okay, yeah, we actually are on the cutting edge of this stuff. If this is the guy who's saying that, he's been talking about this stuff, and it just kind of reminded me and put things into perspective of like, oh yeah, we can actually do some good work here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many people are actually using AI like we are to solve real business use cases? And then the agencies we're working with, they're on the cutting edge as well. I mean, they're out there actually getting this stuff to work incredibly reliably for their own customers. So yeah, we're absolutely on the cutting edge. And as we've started to use this and develop over time, we start to find better ways to work with it, which is going to be really super key. And honestly, OpenAI is doing the exact same thing, and they're doing a really great job of making an API that is, performance enough, it's stable enough. I mean, obviously we joked around about how often it's gone down, but it's relatively stable overall. And then more importantly, they provided, things like function calling, stuff that allows you to hook into the model much better than the other models. I still don't think Claude has function calling, and I don't know if Google's does. I doubt it. But that's always going to keep them quite ahead, is how easy can you hook into it and use it.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting to see if they release. So Google just released Gemini this past week with their faked Blue Duck video, which they've now admitted to it being not faked but edited or
right. Well, they admitted the day of, because that's how I got that information. Because remember, I told you, I don't know if you remember, but I told you within a few minutes of that being posted, it was that night, or maybe it's after I heard about it, because I think it happened during the day. But I was like, I think it's fake, because what they were showing, and this is an interesting topic, because is it irresponsible? I think a lot of people, especially in the product management community that I kind of follow, as well as the indie dev kind of community on Twitter, which I've gotten back on Twitter, obviously, and I'm actually really enjoying it. But they kind of feel like this was irresponsible, at the very least, of Google, and kind of a marketing fail. Because why do you need to create this video that's highly edited and shows almost a use case that's not really possible? Because the stuff where they showed it, like, what was it, the cups or whatever, where they're moving the ball around and it knows where it is. What they actually had to do, and they confirmed this, they showed it still images. So they would show a still image, then showed another one, move it, showed another one. And yeah, that demo is completely misrepresenting the capabilities of that thing. So
yeah, but they released it, and then they gained a few, tens of billions of dollars in market cap after that video was released.
And many people were just like, oh, this is amazing. Even on the group chat podcast, they were talking about that, because I was listening to that on the way up to Los Angeles. And which I did like the podcast, by the way. I like their dynamic. I think they have a little bit of an older idea as far as like working in the office. I thought that was kind of funny, but I guess that works for them, being in person in the office. But yeah, I listened to them talking about it, and they were kind of taken aback by it. I think they did talk a bit though about maybe the topic of it being highly edited. I really can't remember.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite shows. I think it got everyone super excited on socials, and then I started hearing it's like, okay, well then who's coming out with the next thing? So it's it's like that lasts for 5 seconds. Now I'm starting to see rumors that they might release a 4.5 like late December, just as a way to get people excited. I'm like, well, if we think this time last year is when everything was popping off. I remember it was probably just a few days before Christmas last year when I saw one too many TikToks talking about ChatGPT 3.5. I'm like, okay, gotta freaking start looking in,
Yep.
One too many signs. I was like, okay, I got to research this beyond just, ignoring it.
Do you remember what you originally did with it? I can't even remember. I know it was DALL-E 2, the image generation that got me
Yeah.
hooked. And I was like, oh my, that was the game changing moment for me, to be honest. And I think that was a year and a half ago, maybe a year. I can't remember exactly, but just giving it a prompt and it generates an image. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I didn't even know this was possible. And I remember showing Lily, and she was blown away also.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew right then that everything was kind of going to change pretty quickly. Now, how far will it go? I don't know. I'm skeptical. I'm a little skeptical
Yeah.
that LLMs are going to be the thing.
Yeah, for me it was the dumb poems and all that to start, but then as soon as I realized it could do code, like it could write code,
Oh, that's right.
that's when
Didn't
I
you have
like,
it right? I think.
Oh yeah,
I think you
yeah.
had it right. A Python script that you like sent to me at one point. And I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't know you knew how to code. And then that was before I knew about your background with the app development.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say like that is what made me. I'm definitely not an engineer or programmer or coder by any means, but that allowed me to build something that was able to showcase the idea or get across the point of what I was trying to build.
Yeah.
To prove the concept, and I was able to do that by myself for free in 2 hours, where I know that would have cost hundreds of dollars in probably a couple weeks at minimum prior with trying to get that done with VAs.
Oh yeah, yeah. Or you'd have to learn it yourself, put in all kinds of hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's changed, and we've heard our devs, our senior dev, talking about it. It's almost, I think the way he described it was, it's like I have a coding mentor. Now. I mean, what it's really great at, it's pretty good at generating code, right? Like especially when it's code like small code, a small amount of code. I tried to get it about 3 months ago to create a web application, like a fully functioning web application, and that just devolved into it getting stuck in loops, and then it would make it not work, and then you would get it working and then make it not work. And obviously I know how to do it, so a person who didn't know how to build a web application at all, they'd really be lost. But where it's great at is small pieces of code, and what it's really great at is approaches. Like if you ask it, what's the best approach to making a multi-threaded website scraper, blah blah blah, it's really great at generalized approaches to things. But using it to actually create a web app, I think we're a bit far off of the ability for it to do that. It doesn't have a context large enough, and when something has to work and kind of run, you need precision, So,
Do you find that now you are less likely to want to invest the time to learn a new platform or a language or an application?
Yeah, absolutely. Because why would I? Because I can. So through ChatGPT, you can write in any language, right? And since I know how to code, the general approach to coding, which is the same regardless of the language you're using, they all have the same similar constructs. Just the way they implement them and how the syntax is honestly just a little different. Or it can be a little higher level, right? Python is much higher level than something like C or C++. But yeah, at this point, I don't see a use case for me like ever buying a programming book again and just reading it to learn a language. I would just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, how do I do this and this,
Mm-hmm. There's an interesting, so I was trying to work on website stuff because, just not happy with the site. So trying to find other places. I'm like, okay, Webflow, I'm familiar with Webflow-ish, but it's so difficult. It's so robust. There's so much to it. And I was like, okay, I want it to look good, but I don't want to have. So then I started looking into Framer. Framer is a new one that came online because they had a hot demo where they used AI to create a website. So I'm like, let me try out Framer. But their actual core difference is to be able to import Figma files, and then it like auto makes a website from the Figma file.
And have you tried it? How well does it work?
Well, so I was trying it out, and it's, well, then you have to know Figma. And I'm like, well, I don't really know Figma that well either. So I started going down this rabbit hole of like, okay, I could spend this, next couple hours trying to figure out Framer. And this got me
Mm-hmm.
thinking of like, what's the barrier to entry to learn a platform for me to then want to use it, to then want to pay for it? There's like there's not, it's not just the first barrier of like, oh, do I want to pay for it or not? It's, do I even want to learn how to use it?
Right.
And do I want to invest whatever unknown amount of time into that? And in the very beginning, it was kind of unknown about how much time I would have to spend to do that. And this got me thinking about our product and Stammer and about the onboarding process. And when people get exposed to that first view of the dashboard, it might seem overwhelming because there's lots of things to look at.
Well, luckily we have the tour now.
We have the tour, yeah. But I was also thinking of like other things, like
Mm-hmm.
think of how in like Medium blog posts they put the time. Like this is a 15-minute read or 10-minute read. And it's like you have an idea of kind of, oh yeah, this is going to take me that much longer. Like when you're watching a tutorial video, you can generally see, oh, this is a 30-minute video.
That's an interesting point.
Probably that's going to take me 45 minutes to an hour if I have to watch it, pause, do something, watch it, pause, do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like the product tour I think is really cool because it does this. It also got me thinking about this other site, Story Lane, which allows you to do the recorded screenshot product demos. So it's like like a click by click demo.
Which is cool. I just think for our product, like our demo is like we can just we are going to put it on the page, because our demo is just like right there.
For the app. Yeah. But Story Lane might be something that could be interesting to put on the homepage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because one thing I noticed. Okay, one thing I've been doing, which I think would be interesting for you to try as well, Ross. This has been really kind of a game changer over the past few days. But what I used to do on Twitter a year ago that was pretty cool was I would tell people, hey, and this is really true, but looking at your landing page is very difficult if you built it, right? Which this, we've talked about this before, but you get stuck in the problem and you lose the ability to step outside and objectively look at the landing page. So that's what I would tell people on Twitter. And so I would say, okay, well, just send me your landing page. I would do this in a tweet and I will do a video review of it. So I've started doing that again. And I did one or two the other day and I just was amazed at like, I don't know what it is, but it really makes you think of your own landing page and your own product because you look at theirs, you evaluate it, you see are they pitching the value of the product that it provides, or are they doing just telling me what it is type thing. Anyway, it's super valuable. And I'm trying to remember now actually where I was going with this. What were you talking about just a second ago?
Well, it's tough to know like where to end it because it's an ever evolving and changing thing, and as we know, as with our product, like we started out and we thought we were trying to market it and sell it to agencies in a certain way. And we ended up realizing that we needed to sell it and spoon feed it a little bit more because we have the better idea of how it actually works for the end customer, the end user. So that affected how we sell it, which affected how we present our homepage. Mm-hmm. So it's like all these things are connected, and as we start adding more features and adding more functionality, that is going to continue to evolve and change. So it's almost like being okay that it's never going to be quote unquote finished, I think, and then knowing that it could always be better in the eyes of someone. Mm-hmm. I think it's now a goal of data analysis. You get it to a point, record data and see what your conversion rates are. Yeah. Then you do a change. Either do a drastic change, like completely changing everything, or do a small change, like changing the hero header in your homepage, and see how that affects things.
Oh yes, and I remember what I was getting to. So I've been reviewing these landing pages, and I reviewed this one product that is like a kind of a WP Engine competitor. So they make it easy to deploy WordPress and kind of manage it and stuff like that. And this product is a competitor to that. It seems like a great product, but anyway, I noticed on their landing page that at a certain point, and this may be because it's a dev-focused product, but once they've explained the concept, which I get that, I'm hesitant to click try now, right? Because that's a little bit of a barrier. I've got to create an account. I'll start getting emails from them. And where Storyline could, I think, come in handy is it can show me more about what that experience using the UI is. And it can explain to me, okay, I see, this is easy to use. Here's how you do it. Here's how this works overall. So I think Storyline could be, I think it's a cool product. It explains and allows you to create like almost like an interactive demo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, there's other sites and other arguments to be made to where you redact, reduce, restrict as, to the ends of the earth, essentially.
Yep.
And that
book a demo.
And that increases people to take action to get more information, to go further down the funnel. And I think that's the biggest piece from the takeaways from my brainstorm over the weekend was as we started to integrate this next version of our sales pipeline, which is more attuned to the data that we're actually collecting and storing, which is essentially just like the responses people give when they book a meeting or, stuff like that. But then connecting that with our marketing. So it like everything is backed up to where if you sign up, then you get information that helps you go to the next process in many other places than just your email. So, here's a video tutorial, here's the office hours, here's the Thursday agency strategy call. I think more and more of that is going to be beneficial, especially for the agencies that are just getting started.
Yeah, 100% agree. I remember this marketer, this book I listened to actually, and he was talking, I think it was like story-based marketing or something, really great book. But that's one thing he talked about, one concept he talked about is that you need to have a plan. You've got to have a plan to give to your customers. And if you can give them a detailed plan of how they reach success, whatever that success is with your product, you will be so far ahead of the game. So you don't see that with a lot of products, to be honest. You don't see a lot of products where you're presented with a detailed plan. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. Here's how you learn this. So I think our efforts to go in that direction are valuable.
And if you do, you have to pay an arm and a leg for it.
Yeah.
There's an interesting quote. I forget who was talking about it. Some social media business figurehead talking about coaching and paying for coaches and all this stuff. And he's like, if you're really going to do it for free. Like, would you do it for free? And I was like, that makes me actually think like, and I was like, what if I actually did that? And people have paid me for this in the past, but offering coaching for free for a small set of people, but it's solely for trying to get results and just like share those results. Because I know like if I do that at the end of the day, that's marketing for me to then generate more leads or customers and down the line. And what's not charging 3 people for one-on-one coaching.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're saying. There's this guy, Arvid Kahl. I'm probably saying his name. I'm butchering it, I'm sure. But he's on Twitter, and he's always talking about, he basically built a startup with his wife and kind of sold it for a decent chunk of change. But he's always talking about, giving back, that giving things for free within reason. I mean, it's not like he's saying, make your product free, but giving things for free tends to come back to you tenfold. I don't know if he literally says tenfold, but it comes back to you more than what you give out.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of had that mentality with all of my upsells. Quote. I mean, they're not even upsells because they're all free. That's the whole thing. I'm like every single one of them is free. You can donate if you'd like, and I love Gumroad for that. Shout out to Gumroad.
Yep.
But every single one of them has been free, minus maybe a few premium ones that are more of the free stuff. So like you get the majority, you get the 90% of it for free, and if you want the other 10%, then you can pay like $7 for And I've had a few people pay that, but yeah, I'd say 95% of every single piece of like value that I've put out there is free, and my intent is just to provide as much value as possible, like forever. And
that is actually kind of my goal that I've realized as well, is I want to create continue to create content that helps. But basically, I want to provide what I didn't have getting started, right? 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was now when I first started doing things on the side.
Mm-hmm.
There was no all-in guide. So if I want to create that over time. Now I'll probably offer that. I'll probably write a small book, to be honest, and do kind of what Arvid does and sell it through Gumroad. Actually, I love Gumroad as well. But yeah, I mean, all the content it comes from the content I'm producing daily. So people can find it if they want to. But I thought it was interesting how you found better results by making it free and then making it what would you say? Like they can
Paid.
donate basically.
Paid or nothing at all. Like prior to using Gumroad, it was just a standard website form link where people could enter in their name and email and then get the download. Okay, great. I'm collecting emails at a great percentage rate. And okay, so at that time we'll ballpark it at like 65, 75%, probably. It was insane. Like the opt-in rate was insane. And that's just because it was free stuff. Like, okay, well, here's something for free. All you have to put in is your name and your email and you get the thing for free. Great. And nothing else. I think that's where a lot of, at 30 questions, there's all this stuff. Like, I'm just like trying to give you some chocolate and flowers, not even trying to ask you out on a date. Not even there yet, Like, it's like 3 steps prior to that. Warming up the lead. And when I realized I could push the same traffic to Gumroad, and it would drop from a 75% conversion rate to a 65% conversion rate, but 20% of those 20% of that audience would then donate $1. It turned out that I was generating, 5 to 10% per dollar. So if I had 100 people donate, I would make between $10 to $15 in donations from a free item that previously I would have made $0 from. And I only lost 10 opt-ins, but I gained $10 in revenue. So it's like the trade-off to me was insane. And as I've scaled this, I mean, I've done this now for the entirety of 2023. And it's generated thousands of dollars in revenue in donations, which is wild. And of thousands of opt-ins and people and leads. And
that's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you know though? How do you think whether you should just make it paid or make it donatable? Because I've seen the opposite advice where they say, especially for software products, if you make it donatable, no one's going to donate. But I guess Gumroad is a little different, right? Like they present it clearly. They give you that option.
Yeah. I would ask, give me your data on that. Like what
True.
data do you have to back that up? I have a whole year of data that shows people about 10 to 20. I mean, it's hard to ballpark it, but because of the different products, but ballpark it 10% of people are willing to donate money. That is something I would have, like, if you were to ask me on the street, like what percentage of people would be willing to donate? I'd say
0.
Half of 1%. Like it's like the one rich person that you're going to guilt trip into donating. But I've had a lot of people, even on calls, just tell me like, oh, I loved your last thing, so I felt like I had to give you at least a little something for the next one. And so it's that, like what you said, it's the goodwill, like, and they know inherently that my intention is not to just make money from them. So they know that they can come back to my channel, come back to my content. Hey, what else is he now providing for free? Oh, let me check that out. So it's like, it's a good way to keep people engaged outside of just content, because they know like, oh, this guy provided me some free value at one point this year. Let me see what else he's got going on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's surprising how much they will donate. But, like you said, Gumroad does a great job. I think they even have a suggested price, right, in your stuff? So they present it as a clear option. Whereas the ones I've seen where people say that it fails is, kind of niche products where they have like a donate or buy me a coffee, like at the bottom of the landing page. It's not clearly presented. And who knows, maybe the tool is just not valuable.
Well, that to me is a sign of like Gumroad to me, I connect really well with Gumroad in terms of the creator side of it
Mm-hmm.
and the customer side of it and how those two interact. So like as a creator and building these products inside Gumroad, it's very easy for me to create those products and then create that functionality of being able to offer it for free, but then collect a donation, set a suggested price of 0, and then telling people how this all like. I know that the guy I don't remember his name, but the founder of Gumroad, he's so
Mm-hmm.
customer focused and customer oriented to the creator that
Really.
I have no doubt that he's probably talked and engaged with hundreds of creators to get their feedback to help build that feature. And that's why
Mm.
it's so good.
Customer focus is essential. I may have to run a test then when I get this book done. Once I start writing it, it's gonna be a small book, like very small. But yeah, I may have to run a test and see, maybe 30 days of offering it for a static price and then 30 days of offering it as a suggested donation or something that's optional.
Mm-hmm. You should also maybe do the wait list like Hermosi did.
I will to validate it. Yeah, that's a
So
good idea.
do a wait list, and
Write that
then
down.
I think he did like $1 or something for the book.
On the wait list, or the book was $1.
Something. I'm not sure. But I remember, and then he had, I think, like it was 300K people in the launch for the book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably butchering all those stats, but
Right.
I just remember it was pretty insane.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. So, what is some other interesting news that you've heard? Because I actually don't have, surprisingly this week, I don't have a lot of hot news. Well, I've got one thing that's interesting. So, supposedly, I come from Texas, right? Most recently living in Austin. Um, but apparently, there's supposedly a massive tech company exodus that's occurring in Texas. Supposedly, reports show this is true.
It's probably all it's people from California who were quote unquote fed up with California during COVID, who then left for Austin, who
Mm-hmm.
then lived there for a year while it was booming and while Joe Rogan made his thing and it was popping and everything was great. And then
Elon.
2.5 years later, they realized, oh,
It's 100
I'm
degrees
living
at all
in
times.
Texas. And look, I love Texas, but I would never live there, right? That's why I moved to Nevada,
Yep.
which I think is funny because there's a vibe going around in Vegas and Nevada that this is now becoming the Silicon Desert. More and more people from Silicon Valley in California are moving to Nevada and Vegas because of all the benefits, but it's still close. It's drivable distance to a lot of
Exactly.
places within California, whereas in Texas, you're probably a 4-hour flight away.
Oh yeah, and 12 hours to even drive to the first part of Texas. So yeah, to me, I mean, Las Vegas makes a lot more sense to kind of migrate to. And then what is the Silicon Slopes?
Silicon Slopes. Is that
Yeah, is
Aspen?
that? No, it's. I'll have to look at my map. This is bad that I'm having this.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, they give the names like DFW was the Silicon Prairie, Austin is the Silicon Hills.
Really?
Yeah, they all
Oh,
have
wow. I didn't. Maybe I've
It's
only heard of the
Arizona.
desert one because I'm living here.
Exactly, yeah. Silicon Slopes. Oh yeah, Utah.
Hmm.
Salt Lake City, basically. Is the
Ah,
Silicon
yeah.
Slopes. It's not that far, right? Let's see.
From
Probably not
Vegas,
as close as
it's
Vegas.
probably like 6 hours, probably.
Let me see. But you really like Las Vegas, right?
I love it out here. I mean, it's like 40 degrees right now, but living from California and it being 75 every single day, it's kind of nice to be able to wear jackets and kind of have a winter-ish holiday rather than it being 80 degrees on Christmas in San Diego.
Right. Yeah, it is a bit strange, that's for sure. Nice though. Nice when you come from Texas where it's 100 degrees, and it does get
And
quite cold in the winter.
and humid too, right?
Yes. Now Austin is a little less humid than Houston, but because Houston is so humid, especially during the summer. It's unbearable. But Houston's a beautiful city in many ways, especially if you're in kind of the right area, that inner loop where it's, super nice. Also the food is great, amazing food, almost on par with like the Bay Area, maybe New York in some ways, but because of all that diversity, it's a huge, massive city that's very, very spread out compared to a lot of American cities, but still a lot of diversity within there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to be prepared for the humidity. It's almost like Cancun type levels of humidity there.
So do you have a website, app, extension, or service that you found this week that you liked?
Yeah, I do actually. I do. And it's the same one that I think we were going to talk about actually, did we talk about this in the latest podcast? Hopefully not, but it's the Whisper app on Mac OS.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it is the best. You already know this. I mean, but it's the single best transcription application I've ever seen. I mean, it beats the Apple hands down. I assume it's using the Whisper API, but it's amazing. And it's cheap enough. It's got some subscription service. I think I'm still using the free version. But yeah, it works flawlessly. I can just literally talk like this, and I haven't seen it get a word wrong so far.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is, a lot of people don't realize this, but what you can do is, or what I do at least, is describe something just in natural, I'm just talking, rambling sometimes. And then I put it into ChatGPT and I say, okay, summarize this as a GitHub issue, or summarize this as a whatever. You can even tell it, create a script, for like an Instagram video. You can just literally talk and use that messy transcript for ChatGPT to generate an Instagram script.
Is it free?
The Whisper app? Yeah, I think I'm using the free version right now. Whisper Transcription is what it's called. It's in the App Store. And they do have a paid plan, but I think I'm just on the free version right now.
Nice. And then how do you enable it? Is it like a double tap on the FN or something?
No, it's just a button I've been pressing.
Like in your toolbar or something? Or?
It's like an app that, you pull up and you just do new recording and then start talking, and then you click transcribe. I'm sure it could be deeply, more deeply integrated, but I haven't done that yet.
Oh, okay. And then you copy and paste it from that into wherever?
Exactly. Yeah. So what would be a little more handy is if they just fully integrated it. And I don't even know how possible that is. I don't know anything about the Mac OS APIs, but it'd be nice if it just could replace the Apple transcription. But yeah, so far you can't.
I'll have to check that one out, because I know I used to use the FN, double tap the FN to do the Apple transcription.
Yep. I still do it quite a bit.
It'd be cool to be able to macro that too. I'm sure that's possible.
I'm sure. Yeah. Using the automation tool or whatever it's called.
You could put it on your Stream Deck maybe. That'd be sick. I was looking at this.
Oh, that would be a good idea. Yeah, I've got the Stream Deck here.
The Stream Deck,
which I'm not using enough.
Yeah, I've been looking at more, because I need to get a new light or better lights, because that's definitely one of the last. Like I have this ring light, and that's it. Like I have a normal, like just a halogen, office lamp, which is probably terrible for for lighting. And I was looking at Elgato's lighting, and they have like a dimmable light, but then you can connect it to the Stream Deck, and the one that has the knobs, you can turn the knobs and it adjusts the lights. And I'm like, there we go. There's some, synchronicity in terms of product features. And I'm like, I like that. That's what I want,
Eventually you're going to have your entire background, right? Be able to just react to your talking and everything.
Well, I got to optimize this whole situation back here. These are like, this is one app. This is another app. There's probably like 4-5 different apps that control all these lights back here, because I've purchased them over the years through Amazon, and it's always a different supplier from China that's has some bullshit app that doesn't work.
Right. Yep.
And so yeah, it's to change them to this green and red. It took me like 30 minutes.
Hilarious. But no, I love the background thing. I need to, once we're out of this area, I can maybe get something set up, or this house.
The green screen. I think you should take another peek into the green screen, because that's definitely the one thing that's sitting behind me. And I was actually thinking about it today, but I'm recording I have a secondary phone recording to the side in widescreen, which shows my entire background right now, which I think looks cool. So I wanted to try that this time. But in the future, I want to do one where I'm green screened. And then when we're talking about these news articles, I'll be able, like me or the editors will be able to pull that and put that on top of the article that we're talking about inside that clip.
Yes. And I think it'd be cool to record it in person also.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Just set it up in your house, turn your house into a podcasting studio, essentially.
Yep.
But anyway, what about you? Do you have a tool of the week this time?
So I might have mentioned this, like you said, I might have mentioned this one. But I was using Miro probably all day yesterday and on Friday. And I was going back and forth from like Trello to Miro to Canva to all these different places. And Miro I kept redacting and closing tabs. And then I realized like I was just using Miro for almost everything in terms of like creating a graphic, creating ideas, workflow. And now like in the last 36 hours or so, I've created boards that map different projects or different things or different stuff. And now that's the place that I'm putting stuff. And then it's just like my brain. So like I'm organizing it in all these different ways. And what I'm realizing as we're building Stammer, the value of good UI and a really good user experience goes so much further than you might think. And from the little things of being able to zoom in the right way, which is natural to me, versus I think like DaVinci Resolve or something, I zoomed and it went the opposite way. I'm like, that's just annoying. Like, why isn't it using my native zoom, like the right way I zoom in? Why isn't it doing that? And Miro I've never had a problem or like one of those moments where I'm like, that's annoying. It's always just intuitive and it works. And that's what I'm looking at right now. Like I have a Miro board right up here just to like review some of the ideas or questions, screenshotting a video, linking a video, making a mind map for this to that. Like instead of consolidating all my ideas in like a Trello for video ideas, now it's like I'm just putting them all in a Miro board and then grouping them by, these ones have all good thumbnails because I can see they have all good thumbnails. I don't know. It's the best whiteboard platform I've ever used. And, this is definitely not sponsored at all, but I love Miro. Happy paying
you've
customer.
inspired me. I need to start I need to start using it for that more, because right now our podcast notes, for instance, I'm putting into a Notion page, which Notion's good, but you're right. I mean, you can't move it around. The shareability is there, but it's not as easy to share as like Miro. People can literally jump into Miro and you can like see their avatar, their name kind of moving around, which makes it almost like a game in some ways. But we already use it for mockups. I mean, I certainly love using it for low fidelity mockups. We're not even doing actually high fidelity mockups at this point because we don't have time for that. But I need to start using it more for that, because you're right. You throw a bookmark in there and it shows a preview almost every time. Yeah. In fact, one annoying thing I've had with Notion lately is that it's not showing Reddit previews. And I'm just like, why is that not working? Like, are you guys not using your own product? I mean, let me see. Does it work?
And so one usability hack that I figured out with Miro is you can get lost in your own Miro boards quite easily, because it's essentially just an unlimited, infinite canvas. So what I've started to do is, logically, as humans and in the Western world, we read left to right, typically, right? Yep. So my thought process is, I start at the very bottom left of the canvas and I do my work for the day. And then the next day I just scroll up a bit and I just start working above. So that way I know immediately that the work, all my previous work is right beneath it and below it. And as I start to go up, I just build it up. So like one of my flows for Stammer, if I zoom out enough, you can see like it starts all the way down here, and this is where that initial mind map was, or of our timeline.
Right.
It starts all the way down here, and all of our stuff about our MVP launch and all that stuff. The original idea of how this all should work is down here, which is kind of fun.
That is
and then
fun.
if we scroll, like we zoom all the way out and we're all the way back up here.
But that's interesting that you're going like up, right? Because normally if you're reading a page, you're going down.
And that's a good point, actually. That's exactly opposite of what I was just saying.
Right. But hey, I mean, the great thing about Miro is that it works like your mind works, you know?
Yeah.
Or it can.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a cool thing. It works. That's how it works well for me, logically, in my mind. And I think that's just because like I want to go forward, so I'm like looking up and ahead. Like I want to like keep it moving, whether that's real or not. I don't know, but
yeah,
works
Miro
for me.
is solid though. I need to start using it more for more than just mock-ups.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.